Hello, welcome to a video on cleaning my pond systems. So in this video I want to be cleaning all my drum filters. So I have 3 different drum filters, and we'll have a look at how the different drum filters need to be cleaned and what I do to clean the different ponds. If you're thinking about buying a drum filter, it might be an interesting sort of insight into what they like to keep and maintain, stuff like that. If you don't want a drum filter, then you still might learn something about, different ways of cleaning your ponds, some chemicals that I use while I'm cleaning the drum filters and stuff like that you might be able to use on your filters. And yeah, so I'm going to start with my 1,000 gallon tank, and it's one of the most difficult drum filters I've got to clean, and I'll show you why. And yeah, we'll get on with that now. So here we are with a 1,000 gallon tank. I thought I'd start by showing you the fish first, so you can see how clean the tank actually is when it's just in normal running condition, because it will get a little bit murkier later on when I've cleaned it out. And as you see, the fish are quite happy running about. They're still at 20 degrees, they've kept warm, these fish, and doing really well. So let's get on with looking at the filter. So here we are with the filter for this tank. One of the things I want to point out first is I'm going to be using this squirty bottle. In it is actually hydrochloric acid, 10%, or brick acid, whatever you want to call it. It is one of the things I would recommend getting if you have got a drum filter. It's incredibly useful. I'll show its effects and how useful it is later on in the video, but what I do basically is just squirt the screen of the filter with it, and it will burn anything off quite nicely, leaving the filter screen like brand new. And it's just one of them handy things to have. So one of the reasons I'm actually cleaning it is not because it's very mucky. As you can see down there, it's actually quite clean. In fact, one of the things I do with these drum filters, I put air bubbles in them, so there's bubbles bubbling away in this section. It brings all the muck up, because it's got such a way to come up here to the drum filter. It needs the air to bring it up sometimes, which is quite handy. And then obviously that section's got an air stone in it as well, but we'll get into that in a bit. So what I'll do is I'll just turn the air off into that first chamber, and we'll have a look at it. So what happened with this drum filter is, about a month ago I was messing about with the electrics on it, and I've accidentally left the UV light off, so the UV light's down there. And what that's done is, if you can see the mesh, I don't know how well the camera picks it up, but the mesh isn't very clear. So usually you can see straight through it, but there's a bit of a murkiness to it, so there's a build up of it's a weird stuff on it, and that's what the brick acid, the 10% hydrochloric acid, will remove quite easily. Or the pressure washer will also get rid of this one, because it's not that bad, but it is quite, basically what that film's doing is making the drum filter go off a lot, because it's blocking it. It's really making the mesh even finer than it needs to be, so the drum filter's going off quite a lot. That's why I'm cleaning it. So if we look down here in the first section, you can see the air stone, and you can also see, it's a bit hard to look down there, there's a little bit of muck in bottom, but it's not bad. It's usually a lot worse than that, to be honest. Usually you get like, I think it's probably more of a summer thing. For some reason, even though it's dark in here, you don't get it in winter, where there's like a bit of blanket weed and stuff like that growing in there. But for some reason you don't tend to get that in winter, even though it's dark in here, even in summer. So there we go, that's that. What I'm going to do now is, this is the purge valve. I'm going to attach that to this pump. I'm going to purge the drain system, and then I'm going to clean out them media at the back, and then we'll talk about that. So here we are with purging the system. So one of the reasons I'm using this pump to purge it is because I put a 2-inch outlet on here, and I could easily change it to a 4-inch, but I can't quite fit a 4-inch valve and junction in there, so I've just left it as a 2-inch. So basically, if you're putting a purge valve on, it should be as big as the inlet pipe. So this has got 4-inch pipe, 4-inch bottom drain. It should have a 4-inch purge valve. That's one of the things I'd really recommend. Otherwise, the only way to purge it properly is to suck it out with a pump and really get the water moving. So yeah, that's this bit. So I'll be sucking water from this side of the drum filter. I've took the air stone out because it will suck it in there. Right, we've got the pump running, so let's have a look at, see how well it purges it. So I haven't turned the water on yet, so obviously it's just sucking on it. So let's get the water on, get that going, and rev it up and see what happens. I'll probably take the audio off. I need to steady that a bit. Right, we're back for a second attempt at pulling the muck through. So, get the pump running, see if it'll stop in this time. What that? Come on. That's the problem when using rubber joints on these. It's doing it. Have a look. There we go. It's pretty clean. Not bad. Running lovely. Right, let's turn it off while I drain the pond. Perfect. Usually you get some muck coming through. Have a look. See what we've done. We've definitely lowered the water level in here. Yeah, not too bad this time. Usually you get some muck coming through. We've got dislodged a little bit, but not too bad at all. Quite pleased with that. Let's go on with the next bit. So this bit is a bit unique to me. So in my drum filter right here, I've got Cyperax down there. I don't know how well you can actually see it, and a little bit of back here. I'll speed you probably able to see that. So what I do is I suck water from the clean side of the drum filter here into the pump, and then back in again. So it's coming out of there. So basically, just get a really good stir up to make sure that it's really well stirred up. So I'll push this pipe down right into it and turn the pump up a little bit, but it's generally not really needed because it is quite a powerful pump, even on mine, it's really well pumped. So, but it's fairly clean today, which I'm quite pleased with. Yeah, not really kicking much muck up, but I can push it down there. Be a little bit easier if I weren't holding camera. But you get the gist of it. This, basically I'm doing this. This is supposed to have K1 in it, and I've put Cyperax in it. And the problem with putting Cyperax is, if you get any like blanket weed and stuff like that, it really mats up in here. Obviously it being winter, I've not got much. So it can be a bit of a problem in summer, and I tend to do it twice a year, so this time and then probably once in midsummer or something like that, just to make sure it's clean. And I can tell when it's blocking up because there's an air stone in this as well. So when the air stone starts to come up in big bubbles instead of little bubbles, that's when it's starting to block up. But if I put K1 in it like it's supposed to have in it, I won't have that issue at all. So anyway, I'll get on with this and then see. And also what I've done is I've stopped the pump so the pump's not pumping the mucky water to the pond, and I'll probably just turn it off and let that pump suck all the mucky water down the drain in a minute, and then fill this filter back up again. So a bit of a pain in the neck having the Cyperax in here, but it's one of the things, you know, I prefer Cyperax to K1, but this is one of the things you've got to deal with. So we got that bit done. Really weren't that bad at all. I probably should have done this video in summer. It comes out quite brown, but really it just wanted mixing up. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. It just shows you that, you know, even though it's like a static media, it doesn't really get that mucky because how it works with the big holes in it and stuff. Water flows through it really well. So any muck that did get into it would have gone straight through the bottom. Now the only problem you do get is like algae growth and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. So now I'm just going to drain this filter and then pressure wash this screen. So let's get on with that. So here we are, I've emptied the drum filter and just took all the muck out of it. So what I'm going to do now is put this hydrochloric 10% acid on it like that, on the drum. Now it's empty, and this I'll spin it around in a second, and once it's spun round, do the other side. Let me just spin it round, it takes a second. You have to be in here to spin it round, so I just turned it on for a second. And as you can see, the pond's used a little bit of water, and but the fish are happy, you know, not too bothered. The only thing you've got to worry about in winter with heater pond is that I'm putting in quite a lot of freezing cold water, so that's not ideal really. but the heater on this pond will bring it back up quite quickly, so it shouldn't bother the fish too much. But yeah, it's just one of the things you've got to think about. So yeah, back at the drum filter, we turn round, get some on this side, leave this on for 10 minutes, now it's dry, and then I'll pressure wash it off. One of the things with pressure washing it off as well is I use this really little pressure washer. I have got a really big pressure washer, and I did used to pressure wash it with this, but I ended up puncturing the screen, as you can see there. I've just put a bit of glue on these two bits here because it's ripped. It's not really caused any issue, just putting any glue on it. It's been fine, it's been like that for a couple of years now. But you don't want a powerful pressure washer at all, and I know it's a powerful pressure washer. It's the kind that'll take paint off your car, but I held it really far away and it still did it. So basically you just want a really little, not very powerful pressure washer. But the brick acid now, you'll not notice it too much on this filter because it's pretty clean, but when we do the other one you'll see it. We'll be sort of burning away at that sort of, I don't know what you call it, whatever it is on the surface of the screen that's blocking it, and it'll make it so that when I pressure wash it, it'll just come off really clean and nice, and it'll be alright. So let's leave it for 10 minutes. There we go, let that soak for a bit. Let's have a look, see if you can tell. Yeah, it's cleared up quite a little bit, well, a bit, but obviously it just wants a quick pressure wash to get it full finished off. And as you can see, you can't quite see through the other side, so once I've finished pressure washing it, I bet you can. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to run this drum. I'm not actually going to record it. Basically I'm just going to hold the pressure washer here while the drum's running, move it side to side like that. And one of the advantages of this particular drum filter that my others don't have is that I can plug the motor in to this that turns the drum in on its own, so I can just have the drum turning and not have the pressure pump or the circulation pump on, which is quite an handy feature of this particular drum. So yeah, basically I'm just going to do that and then I'll get back to you because I do not want to wait my camera through. So there we go, that's that done. Literally only takes a few seconds. You can see there's a little bit of muck left, but you can see through it a lot better. I don't know if the camera can actually, but I could see through it a lot better. The torch at the other side is a lot easier to see. See if I can get there. No, I can't. But yeah, it's a lot clearer. You can tell all the muck's come off. In fact, you can see bits in it, but that will come off later on with these spray bars. So basically, let's have a look around that. So there's your booster pump down there. One of the things you've got to do as well is make sure these probes are quite clean, because if they get mucky, your drum filter doesn't actually come on at all. And then the media down there is all quite clean, which is great. So basically, just a case of filling it back up now. So let's open the valve and let the water back in, which is down here, hiding in a little secret box. So this goes underneath the pump, as you can see. Basically, well, goes underneath the filter and goes underneath the pond, and yeah, quite an interesting little hole. There we go. On we go. And they should be flowing quite nicely now. Can hear the water anyway. There we go, water's flowing in. Have a look. Lovely. See if it's mucky coming in. A little bit of muck coming in. Not too bad. Keep something to filter out. And then the water level in there is filling back up as well, which is nice. So basically I'm just going to let it fill now. All I've got to do now is wait for the pond actually to fill up. If I put the pumps on, the drum will have a bit of trouble with the low water level. So I'm just going to leave it, let the pond fill up for a bit, and then probably go around bits here with hose pipe and stuff like that, but we should be fine. So there we go, get back to you in a bit when the pond's full. So there we go, we're almost at running water level. Like I said earlier, the fish will be in quite cold water at the minute. Obviously I've put in probably between 300 and 500 litres of fresh cold water, so it'll really cool this pond quite a bit. We'll see in a minute how much exactly, but it's not too much of an issue to the fish. They'll be a little bit upset till it warms back up again. The problem is when you move them from this high temperature to a cold temperature pond, what'll happen with this pond as well is there'll be parts of the pond that are slightly warmer than the rest of it. It'll never mix cold and hot water will never mix that well. You'll find that the cold water is settled quite well to the bottom, and that the cold water will go down the drain first. One of the things I noticed with the heater straight after the filtration system is when this is filling up, the cold water goes straight down the drain and then to the heater, and then registers on the heater that the pond's gone cold, which I quite like. You know, you'd think that putting a bit of cold water in, then the heater would take quite a while to balance out, but it doesn't. So that's it, that's everything switched back on, drum filter, pump, everything, so even the heater should fire back up now. Let's have a look. So here we are with the heater. It is saying flow because I forgot to actually open the valves on the pump. So let's open these valves. There we go. So there we go, the heater's come back on, and 17 degrees it says, so it's dropped the water quite a bit. It were at 20 before. It'll come up quite quickly actually, so it's probably more like 18 degrees, something like that. And obviously the drum filter's running again now, so I can put the lid back on. So there we go, the pump's all running in that now. The fish are a little bit upset, a little bit skittish, not quite as looking for food anymore. You can't see in front top. And it's obviously merged up, not half as bad as it would have done normally. So I don't think actually it really needed doing. I could have probably left it till next spring. It's probably been about 6 months since I last did it. I probably could have left it a year. Especially if I hadn't left that UV light off. That was the only real problem, that I left the UV light off and then the screen got a little bit mucked up. But now it shouldn't be trouble at all. The murkiness will work its way through the drum filter quite quickly and get filtered out, and shouldn't be a trouble, and should be getting back to normal. When the temperature comes back up, the fish will be happy. Obviously just we're putting in that much water and all that, cooling it down and stuff. In summer they wouldn't have bothered it, they wouldn't have been upset at all, but obviously this time of year they are quite upset with cold water. I think I would be and all. But there we go, let's get on with the other drum filters. So here we are with the main pond's drum filter. I've already had a go at it because I don't want to make this video too long, it's already getting a bit long, but I want to show you the sort of important bits of this particular drum. As you can see, there's a brown bit on it just here, and that is because the UV light only goes to there, so you can't quite see it down there, but there's a UV light there and it stops at where the brown bit starts. So I do tend to get the brown bit on this, which is fairly irritating, but there's nothing I can do about that. One of the things, but I'm going to show you how to get rid of that brown bit, which is really good to watch. So one of the things I'm going to start with is I'm going to empty this tank, and I'm going to show you something. So I've been getting into sort of automation. So with I've put a pond vacuum in the basement, and it is incredibly handy. So the vacuum's in the basement and I've just plumbed it so that I've got this really long pipe so I can stretch it wherever I want. And I've been setting it up with Alexa, so I could say, Alexa, pond cleaning. There we go, and that'll run the thing for 5 seconds, and then she turns it back off again, which starts this siphoning. So now the water's siphoning out of that system into the basement, and really useful. I've been using Alexa for a couple of things. So here we are again with the hydrochloric acid. So this is one of the things I really wanted to show you. If you've got a brown drum filter, obviously it can be a lot worse than this. This is pretty mild, but it's still blocking the filter a little bit, because this has two 18,000 litre pumps and a 13,000 litre pump pumping through it, so a hell of a lot of water flow. So any slight blockage in the screen really sets it going, and it's been going off about every 5 minutes, I've noticed today, so it's ready for doing. So basically I'm just putting this hydrochloric acid 10%, or brick acid, whatever you want to call it, it's the same stuff. Chuck that on, and I've drained all the water out of the filter because the water in the filter just dilutes it. And basically what I'm going to do is play a bit of a time lapse, and hopefully you should just watch that nicely fade away. So there we go, that was about 5 minutes. So I'm going to do a quick spray, and I'm going to turn it round and do the other side. we go. There we go. I will not make you watch this in a time lapse because it's all just the same. So I'll get back to you when it's all cleaned and I do the pressure washing bit. See you in a minute. So there we go, the drum's looking really good right there. I'll just turn it on, spin it around, you can see that it is looking really good. There's still a few brown bits here and there, but I'm going to pressure wash it and hopefully that'll clean off. You might notice that that's not spraying, that's because the pump's actually out of water. So let's turn that off. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that. It looks almost brand new. And it's took about half an hour, so I've been like spraying a bit and then turning it and spraying a bit and turning it. It's took me about half an hour to get around it all. But that brick acid just worked, because that brown stuff is impossible. The pressure washer doesn't touch it. I've even got a steam cleaner, that doesn't touch it at all. So it's, you know, the hydrochloric acid is perfect for that. It's also really good at getting lime scale off. So if you've got any lime scale build up on round the side of your pond and stuff like that, spray a bit of that, just wipe straight off like it weren't even there. So what I'm going to do now is get a quick pressure wash, and then I'll let it fill back up with water, and I'll probably drain it again because I don't want to end up sending loads of that acid to the pond. I've no idea if it makes any difference, but I don't need to because I have sprayed probably, you know, about most of that bottle into it. So I'd rather that acid go down drain than into my pond, so I'm going to be doing that. So let's get on with some pressure washing. There we go. So while I was doing that, you saw the pressure washer quite easily. There's a bit of brown just there. See, it didn't shift that. So it quite easily were taking the brown off of it. It didn't move this bit of brown because I must have not got any acid on it. So the only reason it's getting rid of the brown stuff is because the acid's already worked at it. The pressure washer just doesn't shift it at all. And it is looking really good, that drum filter, especially from what it was looking like. I would have liked to have hit it from the top with the pressure washer so all the muck went into that bit, but unfortunately I can't do that because I don't want it spraying onto my little fishies and I don't want it wetting the whole area through, so I tend to do it on this side here because it keeps all the spray in the tank, which is quite nice. So I'm just going to go around it a little bit off camera, get it all cleaned up and get it running again. So I'm just going to start at one pump until the water level comes to maximum. So I've just started up my showers pump, so let's have a look. The pond water's that low, you can see the water coming out of it. It's quite low. But, there we go. So there we go, fishes have finished their watermelon. The drum filters are all nice and clean. And if you like this video, then please like it. If you want to see more videos like this, then please feel free to subscribe. And thank you for making it to the end of the video. Any questions or comments, then please put them down below and I'll do my best to reply. See you in the next one.